I was recently asked how I could study psychology and still be as spiritual as I am. Because some people believe that they are on two opposite sides of the spectrum. However, the relationship between spirituality and psychology go far deeper and far more back than some of us would like to believe. So tonight we step into a conversation that is both ancient and urgently relevant: the relationship between spirituality and psychology. For too long, we've been taught to treat these two domains as if they belong on opposite sides of a wall, one rooted in science, the other rooted in faith. But when we look honestly at our lived experience, we see something different. We see that our minds and spirits speak to each other constantly, and the research agrees. Psychology tells us that human beings are wired for meaning. We don't just want to survive, we want to understand why we're here, why we hurt, and how we heal. Spirituality, in its many forms, gives us a framework that meaning making for that meaning making. It offers rituals, symbols, and stories that help us interpret our suffering and our resilience. As trauma researchers, Crystal Park and colleagues note, when people experience hardship, they naturally try to integrate that pain into their worldview, sometimes in ways that harm them, and sometimes in ways that help them grow. This is where psychology and spirituality begin to intertwine. Spirituality is and can be meaning making. Spirituality is not limited to religion. It is the human search for purpose, belonging, and connection to something larger than ourselves. After trauma, many people turn to spiritual beliefs to make sense of what happened. The American Psychological Association highlights that trauma often represents a spiritual violation, a rupture in the way we understand the world and our place in it. When our worldview is shaken, spirituality becomes a tool for rebuilding meaning. And meaning matters. Research consistently shows that when people can make sense of their suffering, they cope more effectively and recover more fully. Spirituality becomes a bridge between what we've endured and who we are becoming. Psychology, meanwhile, gives us the language and tools to understand our internal world. It helps us to recognize trauma responses, emotional patterns, and the ways our nervous system protect us. It helps us name what we feel instead of drowning in it. But psychology also recognizes that healing is not purely cognitive. In fact, recent clinical work emphasizes that spiritual beliefs can either support or hinder recovery, depending on how they're integrated. This means that therapists and clinicians are increasingly encouraged to consider a person's spiritual framework as part of their mental health treatment. Where spiritual asks, "What does this mean?" psychologists asks, "How did we get here?" Together, they help us ask the most important question: how do we heal? When we look closely, we see three major intersections between spirituality and psychology. Healing. Both fields recognize that healing is multidimensional. Trauma affects the body, mind, and spirit. Research from the APA, the American Psychology Association, shows that spiritual practices such as meditation, prayer, contemplative reading, meaning not just reading the scriptures, but contemplating what it means, can reduce trauma symptoms and support emotional regulation. Psychology provides coping strategies. Spirituality provides hope and purpose. Number 2, connection. Psychology teaches us that isolation harms the mind. Spirituality teaches us that connection restores the soul. Both remind us that we are not meant to walk alone. Community, ritual, and shared belief systems can be powerful protective factors. Number 3, wholeness. Psychology helps us integrate the parts of ourselves we've hidden or rejected. Spirituality invites us to see those same parts as sacred and capable of transformation. When combined, they offer a path toward genuine wholeness, not perfection, but integration. Why does this matter? We are living in a time of rising anxiety, depression, trauma, and disconnection. Many of us are carrying wounds we didn't choose. Many of us are searching for grounding, belonging, and meaning. And here's the truth, supported by both research and lived experience. We cannot fully heal the mind without tending to the spirit, and we cannot nourish the spirit without understanding the mind. When psychology and spirituality work together, we create a fuller, more compassionate picture of human experience. We create space for both science and mystery, both evidence and intuition, both logic and faith. We create space for ourselves. So tonight, let us imagine a world where these two fields are not rivals, but allies. A world where therapy and prayer, mindfulness and clinical care, community and evidence-based practice all work together. A world where we honor the complexity of being human, not by dividing ourselves, but by integrating every part of who we are. Because when we do that, we don't just heal individually, we heal collectively. Thank you, and may you have a blessed evening.